All right, Shabbos, say good morning. Let us begin. So we are continuing today, Meretz Hashem, in Parak Yud Aleph in Mesillas Yesharim, titled Beprote Midas HaNekiyus, the details of the Midah of Nekiyus. So we're picking up today, Monday, 27th of Cheshvan, the 21st of November. I sent out the PDF on the chat as well. And the Ramchal writes as follows: V'inyan HaNekima v'Hatiri Yados. Remember again, right now we are in the midst of the Ramchal going through the interpersonal averos that often we struggle with and don't even realize that it is that sometimes we're engaging in sinful behavior. I would say, I think one of the most, profound lines that Ramchal had in yesterday's shiur, every day a profound line. In yesterday's shiur, one of the most profound lines was this idea that these things that we're discussing now are often things that require us to go against our nature, right? The teva of man is to behave a certain way, and yet the Torah demands us to go against our nature and behave in a different way. So he says, "V'inyan ha'nekima v'hatiri yadua." So we'll say everyone knows about nekima. Nekama is revenge. Netira, I don't know what the good English word for netira is, we'll say, but like netira is almost like harboring animosity or a grudge. So just to give you the example that Rashi, well actually it says, Dahainu, Nikima, Limana mehetiv lemishala ratza lehetiv lo. What's revenge? Revenge is, you didn't do something for me, so therefore I'm not going to do something for you. O shahara lo kvar, unetira, lahazkir be'ez shehu mehetiv lemishahara lo, Eza zikar min harasha asalo. Netira, on the other hand, harboring animosity or a grudge, ultimately, again, is reminding the person of the misdeed they committed to you, even when you're doing something good to them. So I'll give you the example that Rashi uses. So Rashi says like this: I go over to Ruvain on the Pasuk in Torah. I go over to Ruvain and say, Ruvain, lend me your axe. Ruvain says, no. Says no. A few weeks later, Ruvain comes to me and says, could I borrow your lawnmower? And I say, no, you didn't lend me your axe. I'm not lending you my lawnmower. That's revenge. That's nekama. What's netira? I go over to Ruvain and say, Ruvain, can I borrow your axe? He says, no. He comes over to me a few weeks later, can I borrow your lawnmower? And I say, of course you can, because I'm not a jerk like you, right? In other words, so what I'm doing is I'm going ahead and I'm giving him the item, but what I'm clearly doing is I'm holding on to the anger and animosity from the previous. So again, I say that sometimes the second thing is worse than the first. They just give me a straight out no is one thing. We've all been in that situation. Sure, I'll do this for you because I'm essentially a better person than you are. Right? So that's netira. That's netira. So he says, Ulufi, the Bible says incredible. Ulufi shayetzer holich umarsiach hashalev. So I will say the way it works is the Yetzer, in other words, man's inclinations, and really in this case over here, Yetzer also means like a certain level of passion. We will say human beings are by definition emotional feeling beings. We're emotional feeling beings, and those emotions and those feelings are often very sensitive. And so what happens when someone wrongs me? It's so fascinating. At the end of the day, there's a piece of me that I don't want to let go of that pain. I don't want to let go of the pain. He says, I want to hold on to it in some way. So we'll say, by the way, we're going to delve into this. Why is it that when people get hurt, right? Reuven hurts me. Why is it that I cling to that pain? It's so fascinating. In other words, we all do this in different ways. That's why letting go of a grudge, letting go of animosity, not taking revenge is so hard. Maybe not the revenge part as much. Is so hard because I'm unwilling to let go of the pain. On a deeper subconscious level, we often associate letting go of pain with forgiveness. If I let go of my anger or pain towards you, that means that I've forgiven what you've done. Now the truth is, that's false. That's incorrect. I let go of my pain and anger, nothing to do with you, because of me. Right? Forgiveness is something that is earned. Reuven goes ahead and hurts me. So ultimately, again, if Reuven comes over to me and is sincerely apologetic, I should forgive him. And then there's a mitzvah to forgive. The fact that the Torah tells me don't take revenge, the Torah tells me don't harbor animosity, that's not for Reuven. I will say. Who is that for? That's for me. That's for me. That's HaKadosh Baruch Hu telling me it must be exhausting, schlepping along all of that emotional baggage every single step of the way. You're angry at this one, you're upset at this one, you're disappointed in this one. It's hard to keep track of whose baggage belongs to who, right? Whose baggage? I will say, when you're at the airport and you're waiting for your luggage, and there's that guy at the conveyor belt who thinks every single bag is his, right? He takes it off and then he looks at it, puts it back. You feel bad for it's exhausting, so much schlepping. How many of us schlep around baggage that the truth is that doesn't have to be associated with me, but Lamais I'm taking with me all throughout life. He goes on, he says, so the Yetzer, right? The Yetzer almost demands of me to hold on to some vestige of that animosity or hatred or pain. And if I can't hold on to a lot, I'll at least hold on to a little. So we say mashal. What does Yitzhak say? So right, Ruvain, I asked Ruvain for something, right? And now Ruvain said no. Now Ruvain's coming to me. So of course, what does the Yetzer say? Well, again, I'm a good guy, so of course I'm going to give him, even though he didn't give me. But it's important, we'll say, isn't it? Don't we say this? It's important for me to teach him a lesson, right? We always like to teach people lessons, right? It's important for me. I shouldn't just give it to him like nothing, like everything's okay. Because not everything is okay. How is Ruvain ever gonna learn, right? Unless, of course, I, the Rebbe, right? I'm the life Rebbe for everyone, right? Unless I go ahead and kind of give him I remain a little bit brangis, I remain a little bit upset. This way he knows that what it is that he did is incorrect. Or if I'm not gonna go ahead and hurt him or harm him, at least I shouldn't be beneficent in the way that I give, in the way that I do good for him. And I'm not going to help him a lot. Or if I'm going to help him, I'm not going to help him in his presence. Or I'll help him, but I'm going to remain a little bit of aloof and distant. As I say to myself, I rationalize to myself, as long as I'm not enemies with Ruvain, that's good enough. And if I'm going to be friends, we're not going to really be friends. And I will say all of this is often, now again, here, when he says Yetzer, I don't think he just simply means Yetzer Hara. He means this is the passionate feeling side of me. So the passionate feeling side of me says that when I've been hurt, I need in some way to give it to the other individual in some way. In some way. I will say, and again, he described a lot of different things. Sometimes here it's active, and sometimes it's a bit more passive aggressive. But I almost feel like it's my obligation to give back some of that negativity in kind. And again, that's where the Torah comes along and says, he says, Mashu mishtad lefachos esli ba'akim ba'a Torah v'kalala klal shakol nichlabo v'hafta l'reacha kamocha b'lishum efresh. What does the Torah say? The Torah says, love your fellow Jew. Now, I will say, there are qualifications to this statement as well. And the Torah says, love your fellow Jew. Remember again the way Hillel describes that is madasani alecha lechavercha lo savid. It doesn't have to mean that you love everyone. What does it mean? What does it mean? Don't visit harm upon other people. The way you want to be treated, treat other people. I don't have to be friends with everyone. What I can't do is walk around harboring animosity towards people. That I can't do. That I can't do. And therefore I will say, in that paragraph that we just read before, it's so fascinating because we've all done this at some point in time. Someone's wronged me. Now they need something from me. I know, at least I'm self-aware enough to know I can't act like they acted towards me. So I'm going to do the right thing and help them out. But I almost feel like it's important that in some way I make it clear that I'm not going to treat them like they treated me. I'm going to make it clear that somehow I have to remind them of their misdeed. That somehow it's not okay for me to pretend like nothing ever happened before. I have to do something. And I both say, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, why? Just let it go. Just let it go. You don't have to be friends with the person. Right? You don't have to love the person. You don't have to run out of your way to have a kesher with the person. But why hold on to anything? What good are you doing by holding on? Lo sikam v'lo sitar ve'havtu echa kamocha b'li tachbulos u'mezimos kamocha mamish. Love your fellow Jew like you love yourself, without any qualifications, without any distinctions, without any plans, mamish like you. I will say again, I would just temper this just a little bit by ultimately saying again, adopting Hillel's definition of this. That v'ahavtu echa kamocha doesn't have to be unequivocal love, like we think about love, but rather again, it could also just be a sense of, I'm going to treat you the way I want to be treated. Even though you did not necessarily treat me that way initially, I'm going to let go what happened and ultimately do what is right by you. Ulam, what says finish up? Ulam, hashvuos, afa pisha min astam. So we'll say, so again, so that was Nikima Natira. So now the Ramchal says, and we'll say, this is something that often we tread upon or we transgress without even realizing that we've done something wrong. Next category, Shavuos, right? Oaths. Afa pisha min astam kol she'eino min hayotos tishra mehozi shamayim mipiu levatala kol shekein b'shvua. Then I will say, when it comes to taking an oath in vain, using God's name in vain, which often happens in the interpersonal context, everyone knows how careful you have to be with a shvua, right? I will say, incredible overlap now between our Daf Yomi and between Mesillas Yesharim. Everyone knows how careful you have to be. However, he says, yesh od eza anofim kitanim she'afa pisha she'eino min hachamurim yoser. But there are other aspects of Shavuos that sometimes people don't even realize, right? Sometimes things that I do that I don't even realize are problematic als Shavua, and I transgress. Lav Shavua ve'ein Shavua. V'amar Huda Amar Lehu lav trei zimni v'Huda Amar hein trei zimni. Amru ve'hin tzedek she'hei lav shelcha tzedek ve'hin shelcha tzedek. So we'll say, the Ramchal gives an interesting example of this. He says sometimes when a person says hein, yes, lav, no, that could also be a form of shul. We'll actually see them in Masechah Shavuos. The point that Ramchal is making on the surface is that sometimes there are verbal formulations that we use that we don't even recognize are actually a form of shvua. So we have to be careful. I will say, I think also on a deeper level, what Ramchal is teaching us is that what's a shvua? A shvua is often an affirmation of truth or a commitment, right? How many times in life do we affirm things to be true that aren't really true? Or how many times in life do we make commitments and we don't actually honor those commitments? So if you ask me, would I ever take Hashem's name in vain? Actively? Of course not. But yet there are these appendages where I'm not a man of my word, where I don't follow through on my commitments, where verbally I make commitments, and again, I don't back it up. That's also a problem. Ultimately, again, of taking a shuvah, of taking an oath in vain. So we'll stop over here for today. Again, we'll continue to go through this list of Ramchal teaching us all about the various interpersonal averos that sometimes we transgress without even realizing that we're transgressing. Once again, just to establish our context, and the Midah of Nikios teaches us, we have to create at least an awareness of where we may be misfiring so that we have the ability to correct it. I will say shkoyach.